Hello, everyone. I am so excited to have Dawn on here. Dawn, you are such an inspiration. I remember our first conversation. And before I start, I want to remind everyone that for every comment, for every heart, for every love, we are going to give Dawn $1 towards Amazon. So let's make her wealthy with love and affection. Okay, Dawn, tell us who you are, where you're from, what you do. Tell us everything.
So I'm Dawn Bedlivy. I'm a recently retired government employee.
Woo!
I'm living now in Lewis, Delaware. I retired to my home here at the beach. So at present, I'm actually working on getting a business going.
All right.
Yeah.
Tell us your story. Tell us where you were with your health, with how you felt about yourself prior to starting the midlife makeover program.
So if I just jump to the present for now, I weigh less now and I'm healthier now than I have been since I checked back because I've had a Fitbit since
Oh, hell
2014.
yeah.
So I
All
haven't
right.
weighed this amount since 2014.
Okay.
So that's pretty amazing. So where I was when I started the program, I was weighed 156. I had never been overweight in my life. And my blood numbers were all going in the wrong direction. I think that was the biggest thing for me. Like the glucose level was pre-diabetic range. And I'm like, oh my God, my A1C, if that I forget what all these numbers are, Narit, but like the heart number wasn't in the right direction. None of it was. And no matter what I did, I could not lose the weight. And I also had the stomach,
All
and I
right.
hated that part.
Let's keep going. What
Okay.
are your biggest wins since you started the program?
Well, the biggest win is losing weight. So I'm down at like 139.9, I think the last time I weighed. So that was a thrill. I even texted my daughters, like, I haven't weighed this amount since, over 12 years, actually. And then I just today did my 100th workout. So I'd also never been that consistent with strength training and stomach exercises and all of that, never in my life. So I'd say those are my biggest wins. And then thirdly, just relearning how to eat. I know that sounds kind of weird,
Mhm.
but I always thought I don't eat badly, but in reality, I wasn't eating correctly, right? And then really, I wasn't accounting for my calories at all.
People think they're eating healthy, and maybe they are, but they don't know how to eat. And I was the same exact way. So now we're gonna go back to the beginning. There were so many concerns and doubts, and rightfully so, because everyone has concerns and doubts and things they were skeptical about, right? What were you scared, concerned, doubtful about?
Well, it was a big investment. So first and foremost, I hadn't reliably followed through on any program I did. So I guess my biggest concern is if I make this investment, am I going to make the most of the investment? I think that was really my biggest concern, right? And I'm also not used to spending a lot of money on myself. I'll just be
Mm,
perfectly honest.
yeah.
Just not used to that. I had a fear that I would fail at it,
Okay.
just stay the same weight and not see results.
And everybody feels the exact same way. So I want to challenge you to tell who is watching, because how did the experience help overcome your original fear and uncertainty? And be very honest.
I haven't had any fears since I started the program. I will say that. It's like all of that evaporated. So I've never actually had that level of support before for anything I've done. So whether it was the app, the group calls, just feeling part of the community, and I'm not much of a poster. I'm not very good at that, I'll admit. But just knowing it's there was a huge support. And then also knowing that I had to hold myself accountable and you guys were there to help with accountability was huge for me. So I really have not had fear since I went, and I want to say I started seeing results pretty much immediately as I started the program.
So tell us, okay, so when you say like we hold you accountable, you saw results right away. What can you explain to people what that kind of looks like?
Um, yes. So first of all, having to record what I was eating and be honest about the amount of calories in it, I think was really eye-opening for me first and foremost. So that was my real big wake-up call to accountability because I had done Weight Watchers, and the first time I did Weight Watchers, I think that was 25 years ago. I did lose weight through it after was it 25? Not quite 25 years, 20 years ago after my second child. The rest of the time I did Weight Watchers, forget it. It didn't work at all, and I just wasted all that money. Um, so it was really looking at the calories and then trying to get the protein and hitting those macro targets. I think that was huge for me. So that was one form of accountability. Second was the app, and just I don't want to say the exercises are easy, but it was easy to stay on track with them. And then third was really the inspiration to do it, because there were mornings when I'd wake up, and I understand it's a bit easier perhaps for me because I'm not working at a steady job, but I there was a time when I exercised regularly, but not recently. So just committing to, okay, I'm going to get up and I'm going to do just what's in the app. I don't have to do more than what's in the app. I just do what the app tells me. It was it felt freeing in that sense because you had that support and it didn't feel overwhelming.
What has changed, from your mindset perspective while being in this program and continuing to be in this program?
Well, first of all, that I can do it, which was, I wasn't convinced at all that I could do it, that I could stick with something, that I could actually lose the weight. I felt kind of condemned to being, the same weight, honestly, that I could feel better about myself and more fit. I really didn't believe that at first.
But what about it makes it feel like that? Like what changed in your mindset perspective?
Um, I want to say my whole mindset has changed so completely. It's hard for me to isolate one thing or another. It it was like all these components coming together. I think it was okay. I'm learning how to eat for my body to really nourish myself. Right. I changing the mindset from a diet to no, that this is really not what my body needs right now. Because otherwise it's going to gain and all these numbers are going to be off, and that's not where I want to be. Right. Um, I realized the importance to myself of continuing to be to continuing to strengthen myself, the importance of gaining muscle and keeping muscle. And then the other way I'm really thinking about it, and I hadn't so much, was what am I building today so that, 30 years from now, which I intend to still be here 30 years from now, I'm 58, what is that 88-year-old person happy that I did today? So that's really the mindset shift I've made, Narit.
I love it, like your future self. Okay. What is if you were to ask like your favorite, very favorite part of the program?
I'd say the group calls are actually, and I'm not always good at being live on them, but I really enjoy the group calls because I think it's you don't feel sometimes if I'm just following the app or I can forget that there's a community of people out there doing this same program, and so the group calls for me are one way of feeling part of the community, and then I always get great information from them.
I love that. I always say we have the best, most supportive community. Every single woman in our community has a story. We are real women. Did we ever, and I always ask this question because I want to be clear or whatever, did we ever tell you like, here's a list of foods you can't eat? You should feel guilty about this. Any of that? Did that ever happen?
No, and that's another thing I love about the program too, Narit, is just being really real. That what we're learning to do is eat real, within what we have available to us. And it's not like, and I don't feel that way. I don't feel like I can't have white wine or I can't have red wine or I can't have chocolate or something. I just know that I have to account for it. And there's plenty of times I've gone over my calorie count and I'm like, oh, okay, just got to be careful here. And I think the point about planning for it is really important too. I knew I was going to do a celebration, so I'm going to have a glass of wine. It has made me be real though about these types of foods. So if the other day I walked into an ice cream or one time I walked into the ice cream shop with, my family, and I'm like, well, I'm in the weight loss, and I looked and it had calorie counts up there. There wasn't anything under 500 calories. And I'm like, look, I just don't, I'm not going to have, I just chose not to have it.
Yeah, yeah.
Right. As opposed to, and it didn't make me feel deprived or anything else. I'm just like, I have to be real about why those are up there. And do I really want a sundae that's 1,500 calories? So no, the program was never about what you can and can't do. It really is a focus on what's best for you. I think that's really what I've taken from it, Narek.
Yeah, I think the program it's based on science, right? Education and also mindset, right? Showing you your thoughts become your words, right? Your words and your actions. Now, I want you to think about where you were before you started, kind of like, and I remember very scared. What would you say to yourself or just somebody else who was like either following us for a while or a new follower and they're kind of been watching us and they're thinking about maybe booking a call, not committing, but like booking a call? What would you say to someone, but they haven't decided yet?
I would say to go ahead and take action and do it. I think a lot of the fear for me was, I don't know if maybe a lot of other women have this issue in the Like I wouldn't think twice about sending money to my kids at college, or I don't think twice about paying for things for them, or they need this, they need that. But when it came to myself, I'm always like, well, I shouldn't spend that, or I shouldn't do that for myself, or why am I putting, that's, too. And so what I would say is just to put that aside and really invest in yourself, because what I realized was where that fear was coming from was that, and I'm going to get emotional, I wasn't good enough to invest in.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just going to be real. I think that's really where I was coming from. I'm not important enough to invest in.
And
And
now,
I totally see otherwise. Really. I think a lot of it also made me face that belief that was running me in many ways, and say that that was operating in lots of areas, right? And just to face that belief and say that's just totally untrue that I'm telling myself. And the most important thing is to invest in myself right now.
yeah. And so, and sharing your results with your daughter, I mean, to me, that's like a big deal, being consistent with yourself, not only the weight loss, which is huge, but also how you're feeling about yourself. I really want to thank you for coming on here. Vulnerability, I'm really big on that. Vulnerability leads. We are here to inspire, to empower other women. If you are watching this, please give Dawn so many hearts, so much love for coming on here and sharing. And if you are listening to this and you're like, oh my gosh, I am Dawn, I want to be at that weight that I was 12 years ago, and I want to feel good about myself. And I know that I would think of nothing to not throw, but invest in my kids. And I really want to invest in myself so that I can feel and look my best. Message me, be like Dawn, and that is just having a conversation. It is not committing to anything. Don't forget to give her some more emojis, some more love in the comments. Dawn, thank you so much for taking the time today to talk with us and inspire everyone here today. Thank you, Dawn.
Thank you.